I'm the one who was very close and like very personal friend. Because there are those who are political friends, and then there are personal friends. So in my case, we were not in the same political party. Actually, we never ever belonged to the same party. He started in UPC, I was in DP. When I was supposed to be guild president, he also wanted to be guild president, but then the state really went after him very aggressively. They were trying to frame him as a rebel. So he was advised to withdraw. So he withdrew and then came solidly behind me to support me. We elected him the Speaker of the House in Kerere. Unfortunately, he was beaten so badly on 10th December. He was not actually shot, as some of you were reporting. He wasn't shot, but he was beaten so badly. He had to undergo surgery, they had to remove his spleen. Virtually spent his entire life with antibiotics. And number one, he wanted the house to be taken very seriously. Secondly, he wanted the quality of debate to be very high. I do not know whether members of parliament know how important they are. A member of parliament is a very, very important person, because there is no greater privilege than representing people. But now you find that even members of Uchiko, which is a sub-national body, they are more respected than members of a national organ. So we really have to reclaim that space. And I remember when Jonathan Odu, unfortunately, we are going to miss him in the 12th Parliament. Jonathan Odu said that he was being referred to as a Wechitigwa, and he joked that when he asked what a Wechitigwa means, then he was told that Wechitigwa means a thief. Now, that is no laughing matter. It is a problem which is across the board, even in political parties. When we were growing up, and you meet a member of the National Executive Committee of DP, that's a very serious person. But now, the way some of the National Executive Committee members carry themselves, those days when somebody say, I'm on neck, you even stand up to greet them. And I think that's what Jacob would have really wanted. So that when people call you honorable, they really mean it. They don't only say it because they see you as a kind of ATM to help with school fees, burials, and so on. So that to me is what he done. Then he also said that he wanted a people-centered parliament. Now we live in the age of technology. Assuming you want to reach your MP now, how are you going to do it? Parliament has a website. Ideally, every MP should have a web page on that website where you can even send a message. And the support to the members of Parliament, a lot has improved, by the way. When I was an MP, we only had 16 researchers for the entire Parliament. Imagine 16 people. We were 214 at that time. So, we didn't have enough research capabilities. I think Parliament should support members of Parliament so that they are strengthened to truly represent their people and to be accessible using modern communication. Right now, the parliament is in garrison. You try to go there now. These are some of the things that depend on leadership. When myself and the Attorney General arrived at the Ministry of Justice, we opened up the office. We told the police, it's none of your business what anybody has come to do. Just check them to see that they are not in danger in terms of security. Then the receptionist will direct them which office they want to go. So, if we're talking of government of the people, even if you go to the US Congress, you will not find the security people asking you, who do you want to see, what about? Here we have a situation where even your papers can be removed from you. Sometimes, you know, citizens are supposed to go and petition on any issue. Whether you are complaining about stray dogs, you go. Whether you are complaining about high school fees, you should go. Because that is really the public square, as they say. So when you say people-centered, it means it's for the people. And I think there are things. So it's, I'm not Jacob Oulanya. We are totally different people. I'm Norbert Mao. My style of leadership probably different. But I think that association has made some people link the two of us. Why? Because we were sort of like political twins. So one twin has gone, the other twin has remained. That's a fact of life. We are not the same person. So those are the two things that, to my mind, would be what we want to do. To be fair to the current leaders of Parliament, when they took over, they promised to continue with the legacy. It's up to you to judge whether they have safeguarded that legacy. It's not for me to judge, because people will think I'm not being fair. But it's important to reflect about it. The Parliament has had towering figures from the Mzungu, Griffith, and President Museveni was also Speaker of Parliament, by the way. And most of the time it was FEAR, false evidence appearing real. I've already told you what this is about. That this is about balancing the boat. You know, sometimes there is a victory which is worse than a defeat. I don't think anybody would want that. You know, you can win, but the winning is as if you have lost. I don't think the NRM wants to win but to lose. Because you must solve the problem of balancing the boat. That one stays there. So we are also claiming the political cake, apart from the national cake of government services. And we are not shy about it. As DP and also regionally. Whatever anyone thinks, we also put our claim. You know why a frog has no tail? It is said that a frog was a nephew to the king. So the king was the frog's uncle. So the king issued a decree that all the animals, which at that time did not have tails actually, that he thought the animals would look more beautiful if they had tails. So he collected and designed tails, and he assembled all the animals, and he would lift one tail, and then whichever animal desires the tail puts up its hand, and then the tail is given. So he lift the one of the pig. The pig says, "I think that would look nice on me." And the pig would raise its hand, and it is given that one. Then the monkey, when the king lifted a very long tail, the monkey said, "How wonderful." And it is given that one. Then they get the one of the horse, which looks like a brush. The king would lift it up. Then the short one, like for the goat, the king lifts it, and the goat says, "That one for sure, king, that one is mine and mine." Then the one of the sheep, but the frog did not put up its hand. The frog kept saying, "Surely my uncle will reserve something for me. My uncle will not forget about me." So all the tails were given away. So one day the frog was jumping around, and the uncle said, "Frog, where is your tail?" He said, "You know, uncle, I never got." He said, why were you not lifting your hand up?" So now we are lifting up our hand and said, "This position of speaker is ours." we want to know. We DP and we in the north, we don't want to be asked, "What did you get after 2026? And we say, we thought he would remember us." Said, "But you must lift up your hand." So we are now lifting our hand and say, when they say, "Speakership, here we are." Give us. You're looking at the sword. That's not what it is about. It's about the cause, balancing the boat. It's as simple as that. So sometimes also those same things may be a weakness. It is said that Goliath was so angry that somebody is coming with a stick and some stones. You know, somebody attacking you who has a missile with a butida. So he got so annoyed, he removed the helmet and even threw his sword. He wanted to just hold David and crush him with his hands. He exposed his forehead. That's why the stone killed him. So who do you blame? Goliath should have left the helmet on. David wouldn't have killed him. So even the most powerful people have some weaknesses. All of us have our strengths and weaknesses. I want you to reflect on our strength also. So our strength is the cause, and our cause is balancing the boat in Uganda. Because if you don't balance the boat now, you will pay the price in future. Because Uganda is not going away. So don't look at these things in a very temporary matter. By Norbert Mao not being on the presidential ballot, he also ensured that there were more votes than they have always been. Because they have always been the ones scattering the votes, particularly up there. This time we gathered it. But ultimately, it is in the hands of the members of parliament. That's why I'm writing to them individually. Each member of parliament will receive a letter from me, which I believe they will read and understand. Now, I don't have a budget for this because I'm not supposed to campaign. So why should I have a budget? All the people who are commenting positively, they are commenting positively because they see that my election will restore hope in the future. Seeing somebody who they know will be accommodating, will be more tolerant. Because, you know, how a speaker conducts the House will determine whether you will even ever stand up to talk. Because if you stand up and they say, you fool, shut up, and I'm a whole speaker, you'll never stand up again. We see this even in our political party. Sometimes as president, I have to look for somebody who has never spoken in a meeting and say, please, you must be having something to say. So, and incidentally, a speaker is not supposed to debate. So I love debating, but now I think I would be happier to be a teacher, to share all that I've accumulated. And I think the members would want to learn from my experience and also for me to be available for them. But you seem to think that a speaker should be a cashier.
Sure, have to be one.
So I don't think that is what I want to do. Obviously, we must make members of parliament financially equipped to do their work. But it looks like your idea is different. But the people of Uganda have simply taken over this cause now. So there are going to be things which will put me on the spot. Somebody may publish something which may, like for instance, I've seen attacks on the person of the speaker, which I wouldn't do. People know how I campaign. I can be very abrasive. I also have an arsenal of offensive weapons. But also, I've now grown older. I'm not as abrasive. I have calmed down a bit. But these logos of the various political parties is not intended to mean that the parties have endorsed me. Otherwise, there would now be no election if that were the case. We still have to persuade each other. But I think your question begs one question. What is the way forward so that we choose the speaker in the most civil manner? Because if we continue the way we are continuing, by May, it will almost be like any other political campaign. Let me just propose to, particularly to the NRM, we need a conversation. And that's what I wrote to the president about. We need to talk. Because the issues I'm raising won't go away after voting the speaker. It will be, if you simply command NRM MPs and say whether you like it or not, you must vote someone who is a member of NRM. I think that would undermine the spirit of cooperation. And there are many people who still want to work with President Museveni. They are waiting to see how Mao is treated. So NRM is in a test. How are you treating the one who is inside there with you, moreover with the written agreement? Now, if those who have just gone to take photos, how will they be treated? Already you hear some of the NRMs, they speak contradictory messages. 1 minute they say we have married DP. So when you have married someone, you are now what? Then the next minute you are disowning DP just because of position of speaker. It means you are not serious. You cannot only say we are in a marriage when your interest is at stake. But when the interest of the other party is at stake, you say, this one is not part of the marriage. So, the next 5 years will be defined by how Mao is treated. How I'm treated. Again, you know, I like telling stories because I grew in the village. That's where I was brought up. So let me tell you about the time the dog went to its aunt, the fox. The fox, the one called the chibe. Those who are the real Baganda. The chibe. So the mbwa and the chibe apparently are relatives. Then the dog in the bush and the dog at home. So now, say Mao is now the dog in the home. So Mao now is talking to those in the bush. Maybe the Nude and the others. So the dog went to its aunt, the fox, and said, Fox, I'm being treated very well actually now. Home there. And you are my aunt. Why don't you come? Come and stay at home. These people are not bad actually. They are good. Then the aunt says, let me first stand on this anthill. You go and I see how you are welcome. Then. So the dog went. He was moving around the house. And you know this grinding stone which they use for grinding sim-sim. Odi. So the dog sniffed it and was really tempted. So the dog licked it. So they got a big stick and beat the dog almost to coma. So the dog ran towards the ant. The ant didn't even wait. It just went further and further in the bush. So I don't know whether now Robert Mao aspiring to be speaker is like licking the grinding stone for sim-sim. So the foxes are watching how Mao is treated. So whatever unity President Museveni is trying to build can easily be unraveled by just how this thing is handled. Because all those who are peeping and watching and say, maybe the next 5 years we should really have consensus. Say, if Mao is being treated like this, then what about us? So the Chibe just took off, never to be seen again. So for those of you who are blessed to attend this press conference, know that this is the beginning of a more serious conversation than just about position of speaker.